Tonight? Wet, right? Yes, I agree. It is a wet day outside, but I'm happy to have everyone here. I'm happy to be here once again, having a conversation with you. Like I always say, I am not here to teach anything to anybody. We are all here to learn together, and that's what we do here during these meetings. I bring a topic and we discuss, and I encourage you to speak and to voice your opinions, your point of views, and ask your questions, right? It is by listening to each other that we come to a common point. And tonight, that is especially important. So we're going to talk a little bit about activism. We're going to focus a little more on abortion, but I also want to talk about justice. We're going to talk about love. And the message tonight was perfect, right? Because it talked about lies, and sometimes white lies, especially. And white lies sometimes are the lies that we tell ourselves, right? We like to close our eyes to something that is happening in the outside world, and we just pretend that everything is great, and sometimes we are complacent with things that we shouldn't be complacent, right? It also talked about crimes. It talked about justice, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight, and accountability, which is also very important. The lecture tonight, Liv and I, we hosted on the Monday already. But when I was preparing for tonight, I was initially going to do it by myself. She wasn't going to be able to be here. So rather than just using what we had already spoken about, I decided to go back and prepare something for tonight especially. And it is amazing with Spiritism, because you may read the Spirit's book, the Gospel, any of the codification books, once, twice, 3 times, 100 times. Every time you read them, you see something that you hadn't seen before. You understand something that you hadn't understood before. And sometimes things that you think that are never mentioned anywhere in a doctrine, they are right there staring at you in the eyes. You just had not seen it yet, right? So Spiritism it's like a key that opens many doors, right? So knowledge is the precursor of change. So the more you know, the more you're able to see. So the more you study Spiritism, I believe that you broaden your understanding and you ready yourself to learn something that you were not ready to learn it before. It's not that it wasn't there, it was there, but you just did not have the base to see it and to understand it. And when I was preparing this conversation for tonight, what kept coming back and back and back, what I kept seeing was activism, right? And that is one thing that I never paired Spiritism with activism. We really don't think about it that way very often, right? Actually, many times we avoid topics that are controversial, political, divisive, right? That I might have one opinion, you might have something different. So we avoid having those conversations. We avoid discussing them. And we tend to focus on things that are a lot easier to talk about, right? Or personal evolution, reincarnation, and topics that are more difficult like suicide, grieving, abortion, social activism, women's right, right? The right of thought. Any kind of topic that could create conflict, we tend to shy away from it. So I ask yourselves, is this really what we should be doing? As spiritists, should we really shy away from topics that are controversial, from topics that make us think and maybe make us face each other and realize that although we come here or we go to a different spiritist center, we have fundamentally different ideas. And shying away from those topics give us the opportunity to not see that side, right? That little white lie that we tell ourselves, everything is okay, when sometimes my understanding of something is completely different from yours. So I think that The answer is no. We need to bring those outside difficult topics inside the Spiritism Center, and we need to talk about them, right? What is Spiritism? What is it teaching us, right? It's a way of life. It's knowledge, right? That knowledge should not be kept inside ourselves. We learn and we share by ourselves and together. But if we're not talking about these things, we're not exploring those, we don't really know how to act around those things, right? So a few weeks ago, there was a shooting at Uvalde, the school. 19 children, 2 teachers, right, killed. Should we not talk about gun violence? Should we just send our thoughts and prayers and hope that everything is going to be okay, right? If thoughts and prayers fixed anything, Jesus himself would not have come down here to work as much as he did. Kardec would not have codified Spiritism. Chico Xavier would not have written over 400 books. Thoughts, prayers, those are important, right? They're fundamental to our souls, to our spirit, to give us courage to face the world. But action is paramount for change. And when we avoid difficult topics like that, we're not acting. We are not bringing change into the world, right? So it is important to talk about gun safety. A few years back, Malala, she's a girl from Afghanistan. I'm sure many of you know who she was, right? The Taliban persecuted her when she was 15 years old, shot her in the head several times. So she survived. She's a great activist. She lives in England. What did she want? Equality. She wanted the right to go to school as a girl. That's it. Simple. Things that we take for granted. It almost cost her life. Should we not talk about that? Should we not talk about women's right in here? The right for education? That's all activism, right? We can't shy away from those things. They are hard to talk about. They are difficult. But we have to stop only talking and discussing things that are easy and really start talking about things that really move us inside. We like to think this is a safe place, right? That we can come here, have a conversation. But let me ask you this, how many churches, mosques, synagogues, right, have been the site of horrible attacks? Many. Who's to say that that couldn't happen here? Anti-Semitism is everywhere, right? Religious intolerance. We can't just not talk about those things. We have to talk about them. It is our job to talk about them. We can bring the change that we speak of so often. And that includes talking about things like abortion, as an example, right? I was reading the news the other day, and I read this article on this woman that was pregnant, attempted suicide. She just could not face the fact that she was pregnant, and she had absolutely no support. She would much rather take her life. She attempted suicide, survived, and then she was arrested and thrown in jail for attempted murder because she was pregnant. Are we supposed to be okay with that? Are we supposed to not say anything about that? To just ascend and repeat what others are repeating outside? I am against abortion. Well, we should be pro-life, for sure, right? But we can't close our eyes to the reasons behind that. Do you think that it's okay for her to be sent to jail after what she went through? Could that be a different story if maybe there was somebody out there speaking differently? If maybe she felt safe about coming to someone and sharing her story? Well, there are countries in the world that it will never be tolerated. Here, is a big taboo. It is the center of our elections this year. Politics. Let's not talk about politics. No, let's talk about politics because we help to elect people to represent ourselves that can advocate for our rights and for what we think is important. If we don't talk about politics because I'm afraid that I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, and you are independent, and we're never going to agree on something, guess what? Never anything will be done. Because we are not taking the first step, because we much rather just shy away from things than face them in the eye. We have to face those things. So yes, politics should be brought into the Spiritist Center. Should it be brought in here so we can scream at each other? No, it should be brought in here so you can hear my point of view, I can hear yours, and we can understand each other. I am married to a man, I have a husband. I'm not the norm, right? My community is persecuted and hunted like animals. There are countries in the world that we are hung and put to death. Should I be okay with that and not bring that into the spiritual house that I come into? Should I not tell my story? Should I just shy away? No. You have to hear that those things happen in the world. People that we know are part of oppressions that we never dream of. But if we never talk about them, we're never going to shine a light on them. The world will never change, right? So we have to start working on those things, and we have to lose this sense of it's just best not to talk about it. No, it's not. It's not. Jesus never shied away from anything. He tackled everything. He came here to teach us that there are ways to deal with difficult situations, right? Without what? Without insulting others, without causing harm to others. He didn't put next to himself just scholars and intelligent people and people that were evolved. No. His disciples, they were fishermen. They were tax collectors. St. Thomas did not believe in anything. He didn't believe in Christ many times. Jesus had to convince him of many things. There are passages that you read where they say that sometimes he would be incapable of seeing a tree in a forest. Try to grasp that concept. That was St. Thomas. Did Jesus push him away? No, he brought him close. Why? Because he could show him the way, right? Sometimes we're so quick to judge people for crimes that they commit. Let's go back to Jesus. Saul. Who was Saul? Can anybody tell me? Livia? Saul? Paul, yes. But who was him before he was Paul? He used to persecute and hunt Christians. That's what he did before. And torture. On the name of God. Okay? On the name of God. Did Jesus condemn him? Did Jesus shy away from him or isolated him or pushed him away? No. He what? He went after him. And then what happened? When he was able to see the truth and to remove the veil from his face, he became one of the biggest names in Christianism. There is no other story of somebody who changed his life around like Saul. Mary Magdalene, another one. In a time where women was less than they are today, Jesus brought a prostitute to his work, right? And she changed her life around, and she changed the life of hundreds and thousands of people. And she died in poverty, covered in leprosy, for her love for the Christ. Why? Because he did not give up on her. Because rather than just saying you are undeserving of justice, you are undeserving of love, You are a sinner. You deserve to die and to be sent to prison. It was completely the opposite. He taught us that we can reach unfathomable distances with love. Love. That's all she needed. She needed love. He gave her that, and she gave him his life. And that's what we have to do. We have to go after those who see things differently, but not to hunt them, not to persecute them, not to condemn them or to point the finger or to scream. No, to listen, to have a conversation, to share what we know and listen to what they have to say. I live in a neighborhood where everybody is a Republican. My husband works for the Democratic Party. Do you know how many neighbors I don't talk with? None. I talk to all of them. We're friends. We visit together. We share time together. Last year in September, I was on my way to the center, and I got the news that my neighbor from across the street had disincarnated. I was sad, and I was crying on my way here. When I got here, Yvette was the one that consoled me. We had so many differences I cannot begin to tell you. We saw the world completely different, but I understood that inside of himself, he was a good man, and he understood that inside of me, I was a good person. And we were wonderful friends. And that's just an example of how differences, they cannot be a defining factor of our life or a dividing factor of our lives. They can be a uniting factor. Because if I listen to what you have to say, if you give me the space to show you who I am, chances are we are going to find something to have in common. And that something is the seed that we need to plant a garden together, to grow a forest. But if I shut my door to you, if I shut my door to anything that hurts me or that is hard for me to tackle, none of this transformation will happen. None of it. So we have to stop not talking about these things, and we have to talk about them. So, Spiritism. Do you think that Spiritism deals in activism and social causes, social issues? No. What do you think? No.
You let the person decide. You gotta do like this. I'm here to save you.
Thank you.
Okay? Look at me.
See, we can't do it alone. We
Okay.
need each other.
See, this is a mystery. You see this? When you start talking, the mouse moved around.
I see.
So you have to come here. So you can breathe. This is a break. You see, you have two screens. You have to go. Now go.
There we go. Thank you, Livia. Livia to save the day, huh? So as a spiritist, should we shy away from activism or avoid social issue topics? What do you think, after all we just talked about? No, we have to face them, right?
Okay, can I give my opinion?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you're gonna like my opinion. Spiritism is not political.
I used to think the same way.
No, hold on. I will complete. It's not political. Because Spiritism is not to put people in different positions. Spiritism is here. It bring all the spirits bring social issues.
Okay.
In different levels. Riches,
So-
addiction, suicide, wars, different laws, but give us the option, the freedom, and the duty to do something about it.
That's true.
But Spiritism per se is not political, and as a spiritist, you should position yourself and acting toward.
But the question here is not, is Spiritism political, right? Does Spiritism shy away from activism or social issue topics?
It's not the position of Spiritism to be.
So let's see what the Spirits book have to say, right?
Okay, let's see.
Are men and women equal in God's eyes, and do they have the same rights?
See?
Right? Do they have the same? What is right? It's a social issue, isn't it? Right?
Of course.
We are talking about women's rights, animal rights, gun rights, all kinds of rights. Spirits book, question 817. Has God not given them both the knowledge of good and evil and the ability to advance? Right? So in order to advance, we have to address those issues, the same issues that separate us. And I'm just going to go through this very fast because where does the moral inferiority of women in some countries originate? Spirits book. All of the questions are from the Spirits book. 818. This is a result of social institutions and the abusive exercise of strength over weakness. Among morally inferior men, strength and power are mistaken for rights and respect. What is that? What is that? It's in the Spirits book. But we like to tell ourselves that the Spirits book's not telling us how to face those issues. It was staring at me in the face. No, but it's not. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this is exactly what it is. These are social issues. Things that we avoid, right? It's activism. 2 questions here on 822. As all human beings are equals according to God's law. What is that? Right? Should they also be such according to the human-made law? What is law, if not politics? I'm not saying that Spiritism is using politics to divide us, but it's using politics of itself to teach us how to be better humans, how to live in community. So yes, it does dwell in that area too.
These are philosophical issues.
Yes.
And in every part, in every time of humankind. And that's why Spiritism brings those issues. Because every era, every time, every society, every culture should do something about it.
Yeah, but we can't say that Spiritism doesn't dwell on social issues because these are all social issues.
Politics divides.
Right? Yes, but this
doesn't.
is not the intention. It's completely the opposite. This is here to teach us how to deal with those things. Yes.
I think it's a matter of how.
Exactly.
How.
You are absolutely correct.
Everything is, but you gotta avoid I think what she's saying, which I agree with, you gotta be careful not to land us in duality.
That is
We're
correct.
trying to get away from.
But
You
if we
gotta be careful of doing this.
if we shy away from dialogue, can we reach a common ground?
Never.
Never.
But that's not
No,
the
but
purpose of
you gotta go to something more fundamental, I think is what we're saying. You gotta go to, if you get stuck on politics, you gotta, to find the common ground, you gotta go more
But we're not here discussing politics,
fundamental.
right? We're not here discussing politics, right? Nowhere in here we were discussing politics. We are discussing social issues that are difficult to tackle, that we shy away from, and that we should not shy away from.
that is correct.
That's what we are here discussing and talking. And it's important. And what you said is very important because it's important for me to understand how you see things. And it's important for you to understand how I see things so we can learn together.
But we are here to understand
Right.
what Spiritism brings to us. That's what we do here. And what we do with that information outside is up to us.
Yes, but if we don't talk about those things in here, how can we live them outside?
But we are speaking about this in here because that's what the Spiritism brings to us.
That's
in the
true.
Spirit's book.
Let's see
We are
what else
all
we have
Spiritism.
to say here. So, as all human beings are equals according to God's law, should they also be such according to human-made law? This is the cornerstone of justice. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. So I have to respect your point of view, right? I mean, you have to respect mine, and we can learn from each other. So it's not teaching us to duel, completely the opposite. It's teaching us how to come together. It's a different spectrum. It's a different way of seeing things. Now, in order to be perfectly just, and now we're talking about law, right? Should legislation legislation established the equality of rights between men and women? This question is Spirit's book, question 822. It's there. It's talking about legislation, equality of rights. It's there. It's for us to learn how to deal with these things. We have to understand in order to be able to move forward together. Human-made law, to be just, should establish equal rights for men and women. Not everybody sees it that way. Should I not have the conversation with somebody who sees it differently? No, I should, right? Maybe together we can move to a better world. Women's right and freedom are in line with the progress of civilization, as her oppression is a condition of barbarism. It is still a barbaric world in many parts of the world. We are moving away from it, right? We are growing and learning as a community, and we need to continue that walk and move forward with that progress. But if we don't ever address these things, that's not going to happen, right? It will take much, much longer. We can make a better world a lot faster by being open and truthful, and stop telling white lies to ourselves or to others, and see things that are happening that are in need of change, and approach them from a position of love and compassion and kindness and benevolence. That's what we have. And respect, absolutely. Since spirits can assume that of either sex, there is no difference between them in this respect, and they should enjoy the same rights. Right there, let me read it again. In addition, gender. The Spirit's book is talking about gender. It's one of the hot topics today too. We shouldn't be discriminating. We should be understanding. It's teaching us how to move forward as brothers and sisters. Right? In addition, gender only exists through the physical makeup. Since spirits can assume that of either sex, there is no difference between them in this respect, and they should enjoy the same rights. I lived most of my life away from God. Most of it. Until I found Spiritism. And you know why? Because every church I went to told me that I was wrong. Told me that I shouldn't live my life being who I am. That I should oppress who I am in order to earn salvation. And only when I found Spiritism, I learned that God loves me unconditionally. No matter who I am, no matter what I have done. Because when He looks at me, when He looks at you, He doesn't see imperfection. He doesn't see the imperfect and learning beings that we are now. He sees His finest work. He sees the perfect beings we will be one day. And He never loves us any less. So no matter what we have done, we will never lose the love of God. But we have to work to earn the position that one day we will occupy. And it's only by transforming ourselves, evolving in consciousness and enlightenment and understanding and compassion and love that we'll get there. But we will all get there. Some sooner than others, but we will be there. So we have to be careful not to isolate people, right? Just because we don't really understand that we have to be working together and in union. Christ came and taught us about a loving God. Up to that moment, we saw God, humanity saw God as vengeful, right? He would make us pay for our sins. And Jesus came and showed us the image of a loving Father that is here to guide us and to help us get to where we will all be one day. Does the duty to respect the right of others deprive individuals of the right to be in themselves? So should I have deprived myself of the right to be who I am, to love who I love, respect the husband I have, and honor him? Should I have done that? Because everybody else, every church told me that I had to. Spiritism didn't. Said that I could come as I am. And I did. And today I have a wonderful relationship with God. But it's because I was never said, never told that I was undeserving of his love. It was the opposite. Not at all. Because human beings hold that right by nature. This is the Spirit's book telling us. You have the right to be who you are. That doesn't mean that you have to go out into the world and scream to the world and show an ugly side of you. It's not that. It's saying that inside yourself, that you, who you are, you have the right to exist as you are. All forms, all expressions of humanity. Doesn't matter who you are. Black, Asian, yellow, brown, woman, man. It doesn't matter what gender you see yourself. We all have the right to be here. But we have to live our experience with respect to others, right? Because if I expect to be respected for who I am, I have to be willing to give the respect to others, right? If my expression of myself harms you or offends you, then I have to find a way to possibly express myself in a way that I am not causing you discomfort, because that wouldn't be fair, right? To be who I am at the expense of other. It's not what it's saying. It's saying you have the right to be yourself in addition to others, not despite of others. Is it wrong to offend those whose beliefs are different than ours? That's an important one.
If it's intentional, absolutely.
Intention is everything, right? Absolutely, of course. This demonstrates a lack of charity and infringes on the freedom of thought. So yes, definitely you should not offend those whose beliefs are different, right? You have to get to a point where you can coexist and learn together. Again, our differences are not meant to separate us. They give us something to work on together. So yes, absolutely, you should not offend somebody who sees things different than you. But you should listen to them, right? And they should give you the opportunity for you to express yourself too. We don't do that very often. We're not very good about doing that. Our differences is exactly what separates us today. But they shouldn't be, right? We are free to be who we are. But who I am has to be in union and has to be able to walk together with who you are. This is what it's telling us. We have to find a better way of living together in society. And it's amazing. Like Livia said, Spiritism wasn't written for the 19th century. It was written for all times. These are philosophies and teachings that we have to carry with us at all times, from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. And we'll never exhaust all the teachings that it has for us. It is teaching us how to be humans, how to transcend into something bigger than the human we know today. And we have to listen to these teachings, right? That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about it. Is this a comfortable conversation right now for many of us? Maybe not. Are we going to get out of this room a little better than what we walked in? Are we going to be inspired to maybe consider a different point of view or a different reality than the one that we consider today? I like to think so, right? I like to think so. I like to think that maybe we can talk outside, and if you see something different than mine, you say, hey, Rudy, this is how I see things, and understand that you see it differently. But I think that we can find a place where we can coexist. And that's what it's telling us to do now. It's to find the common ground. Do human beings have free will in their actions? Since they have freedom of thought, they also have freedom of action. Without free will, they would be nothing more than machines. So, do I have the right to tell you how you should act and what you should do? No, because you have free will, right? But it is my duty. It is my duty. And it is your duty, right, to help me be a better person. So together we can be better. So it's not me imposing myself over you or you imposing yourself over me. It's the opposite. It's us learning how to move forward, how to coexist. What is Spiritism? And I'm not asking for a textbook answer.
I would like to know that definition, because when people ask me, I have a hard time
Okay.
defining. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know how to explain to them.
I like the definition right there behind you on the wall. Logic and science meet perfectly in Spiritism.
There we go.
A deep respect.
Anybody else? So when Jesus was here, and before he left, he made us a promise. What was the promise? He what? He was going to send us a consoler that would continue his teachings, right? Spiritism is that consoler. The consoler promised by Christ. So it's not here to cause division or duality. It's the opposite. It's here to teach us how to be loving and kind, how to live with compassion, how to see others and respect them for who they are and where they are in their walk towards evolution. Right? It is here to teach us how to be more benevolent. What is benevolence? What is benevolence?
Yeah, the good, yeah.
When you are benevolent, you accept others for who they are. Right? It is the law of justice, charity, and love. It teaches us how to be benevolent. So Spiritism is that consoler promised to us by the Christ. And there it is. So Spiritism is the consoler promised to us by the Christ. It teaches us that justice, charity, and love must be our guiding forces. That's the code that we have to live by. Right? So in a nutshell, that's what it is. Right? You can find this in the Gospel, in the Medium's book, in the Spirit's book, in many other books. It tells us that Spiritism is that consoler that the Christ promised to us. And here we have it. So we have to be able to open ourselves to the teachings and try to understand more than just the words. We have to try to go beyond that, but we can't do that by ourselves. And we can do that if all we do is read a book, but never put into practice. We have to live it. Right? Not to cause separation, but to walk towards unity. So for us to say that Spiritism doesn't really dwell in social issues, we are not correct. It's teaching us exactly how to deal with those issues that has followed humanity through its existence. For as long as we have been human and we have had the understanding of living in community, we have had social differences. But there is a way to fix it. And it starts with understanding. It starts with opening ourselves to those who are different, listening to what they have to say, and hope and expect that they listen to what we have to say. This conversation would be a whole workshop, right? We haven't even scratched the surface. And it's time to start coming to a close. But I would like to actually, we have a few minutes back, so I'd like to open it to you rather than me continue. I would like to maybe give you the opportunity to express yourself or to ask questions or to make a comment. Anybody?
I do have to say, but I'll say in the end.
Okay.
I would like to speak.
There you go. We're good?
I've got an observation.
Okay.
I am a Republican, but I would love to be able to have very deep, very understanding conversations with you, and I would be proud to be your friend if I was living in your neighborhood. So,
Like I told you, all my friends are, all my neighbors are Republicans,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
have
yeah.
an amazing relationship.
I have to
But
get
but
into
do you
that.
know why?
Fun.
But do you know why?
I gotta get into
Because I know what you want at the end of the day. At the end of the day, what you want is safety for your family.
No,
You-
we're not gonna get into this conversation.
Oh, we're not, but you want to make sure that your kids have an education. You want to be able to live a better life and to have a better life, right? So no matter what your point of view is, or how you think you can get to that, or how I think I can get to that, I believe that that's what we both want,
I agree.
right? So we are really not that different. We might have a different perception of the way that we want to get there, but what we want fundamentally inside of us is the same thing, right? So we can sit together and have a conversation on how we can make the world a better place, because you want a better world. I want a better world. We want the same thing. So I'm not different from you and you're not different from me. Fundamentally, we want the same thing from life. And that unites us, that doesn't divide us. So your political association, it's just a small piece of who you are. There's so much more depth and layers to you, the same way that there are many more layers to me. And those are the layers that can get us together. So it doesn't have to be divisive. Right? Very good. Well, Olivia has something to say. I'm going to give her the floor. And thank you so much for being here and for having this conversation with me. Thank you.